Okay, well, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Kathleen Borain, and I serve as the Maryland Insurance Commissioner. Thank you for joining us this afternoon to learn more about how the Maryland Insurance Administration can help your constituents with their insurance needs. Our agency, which we refer to as the MIA, serves the important purpose of assuring that insurance companies and professionals abide by the laws of our state. We determine who can do the business of insurance here. We monitor conduct and financial solvency. We examine licensees for compliance, and we investigate insurance fraud. And most importantly for you, we provide many resources in the form of written guides, online materials, and webinars for individuals and businesses to educate them about insurance and their insurance needs, and to enable them to be prepared for events that could lead to financial loss and insurance claims. When disasters occur, we are there, physically and virtually, to help consumers to understand what they are entitled to under their policies and how to navigate the claims process. And when consumers have a complaint about how they are being treated by their insurer or other insurance professionals, we are there to intervene, to investigate conduct, and if we find violations, to hold our licensee accountable. I had the honor of being appointed to lead this agency last May, shortly after the start of the pandemic. And I can assure you that the MIA was then and continues to be fully operational and available to you and to your constituents. In 2020, despite the pandemic, the MIA addressed over 12,000 consumer complaints, fraud referrals, and investigations. And in connection with those actions, in addition to penalties paid to the state, the MIA ordered licensees to pay more than $11.8 million to Maryland residents and businesses. Our teams of seasoned, trained, dedicated professionals are here to deliver concrete and meaningful assistance to your constituents. And our goal today is to make sure that you understand what we do so that we can help you help them. As we get started this morning, like I was down for a second, but I think I'm okay. As we get started this morning, let me introduce the MI team members who are with us today. First, Corey Boone, our Chief of Staff.
Good afternoon.
David Cooney, our Associate Commissioner for Life and Health.
Good afternoon.
Robert Barron, the Associate Commissioner for Property and Casualty.
Everybody.
Joy Hatchett, the Associate Commissioner for Consumer Education and Advocacy.
Nice to be with you this afternoon.
Mike Patty, the Director of Government Relations.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Craig I, our Director of Communications.
Hello, welcome.
And Victoria Laird is here with us as well today. Victoria works with Craig as part of our communications staff. So to help us get started, I'm going to provide you with an overview of the agency, and then members of my senior staff will provide additional details about the specific services that they perform within their divisions. And then we're also going to share some information with you about a special initiative that the MIA has been working on with educational institutions to develop insurance career opportunities for Marylanders. So let me just start with the big picture. The Maryland Insurance Administration is an independent unit of state government. We are the regulator of Maryland's insurance industry, which includes life, health, property, and casualty insurance. We implement and enforce the laws that are enacted by the General Assembly that affect the insurance industry in Maryland, and we develop procedures and regulations that govern the business of insurance in our state. As I mentioned, the MIA oversees the business of insurance in Maryland. That means that we protect consumers by regulating the state's insurers and producers, commonly known as agents or brokers. We investigate consumer complaints about insurance coverage. We license insurers and producers and other insurance professionals when they seek to operate in Maryland. We conduct financial exams to ensure solvency. We conduct market conduct examinations to ensure compliance with Maryland's insurance laws. We investigate acts of insurance fraud, and we review and approve the rates and contract forms for insurance that's sold in the state. In terms of kind of the organizational structure of our agency, The Maryland Insurance Commissioner, in this case me, is appointed by the governor for a designated term. It's a 4-year term with the advice and consent of the Senate. So the Executive Nominations Committee makes its recommendation, and then the Senate votes to approve the governor's selection. We're broken down into a number of different divisions. That includes the Office of the Commissioner, and then it also includes the Life and Health Division. Now, this is where folks go for help with life insurance or health insurance claim, among other things. And David Cooney is going to talk to you a little bit more about that in detail. Our Property and Casualty Division, and this includes where people go for help with their auto, homeowners, property, and business insurance claims. And Robert's going to talk to you more about that. Our Market Regulation and Professional Licensing Division, which includes producer licensing. These are the MIA folks who step in to examine a company broadly when we begin to see a pattern of complaints. And they're the ones who license insurance professionals like agents and brokers. We also have a Consumer Education and Advocacy Unit. This is the group that really works hand in hand with our communications team to produce all of our educational material. And it's the group that coordinates all of our disaster response work and that has special advocacy programs like rapid response to help resolve certain kinds of consumer complaints faster. And Joy's going to talk to you more about that. We have our Insurance Fraud and Producer Enforcement Division. These are the folks that investigate insurance fraud. Our Financial Regulation Division, which includes company licensing. This is the group that licenses our companies and assures that they stay financially sound. The Office of the Chief Actuary. This is the group that reviews and approves all of the life and health rates. And then we have an operational and technology team that handles all of the sort of the day-to-day business of the agency. So some people wonder, how it is that the MIA is funded. So I can give you the very happy news that we do not receive any money whatsoever from the state's general fund. So all of the services that we provide, none of them come out of any taxpayer dollars. We are funded entirely from 2 sources. First, through fees that are paid to us by industry, such as licensing fees or fraud prevention fees or form filing fees. And second, through a special assessment that's made annually on all insurance companies. So far from costing the state money, the MIA is actually a very large source of revenue for the general fund. The taxes that insurance companies pay on premium and the administrative penalties that are assessed against licensees are all paid into the general fund. And in fiscal year 2020, just to give you an idea, the MIA contributed about $597 million to the general fund. So as I noted, we regulate the business of insurance in the state, and most of those activities are conducted by people or businesses that have to be licensed or authorized by us. So if we think about what is that list of regulated entities, it includes insurers, HMOs, managed care organizations, nonprofit health service plans, dental plan organizations, discount medical plans, discount prescription drug plans, producers, usually called agents, brokers, or agencies, third-party administrators, shop exchange navigators, pharmacy benefit managers, and public adjusters. So that is a broad overview of kind of who we are and how we're funded and what we do and who we oversee at a really high level. So now what I'd like to do is turn this over to the members of my senior staff who are going to provide a much more detailed information about how we can really help your constituents. So let me first bring up David Cooney, who's our Associate Commissioner for Life and Health.
Thank you, Kathleen. As Kathleen mentioned, I oversee the Life and Health Division here, and as the name implies, we're the section of the agency that has primary responsibility for regulating the life and health products in Maryland. So one of our primary responsibilities is reviewing life and health insurance contracts. Before a company can sell any life or health insurance product in Maryland, it must be filed with and approved by the MIA. And our staff here will look at the contracts, ensure that it complies with all relevant laws and regulations, require the companies to make any necessary revisions before we approve those plans. We do review for approval all life insurance, health insurance, annuity, credit insurance, dental plan organization, and health maintenance organization contracts that are sold in Maryland. And when we talk about health insurance, that includes, the major medical type, broad ACA plans that you're likely familiar with, but it also includes all the supplemental coverages like specified disease, hospital indemnity, and even things like long-term care insurance, Medicare supplement insurance, and disability income insurance. Our other biggest responsibility in the unit is assisting the public with questions and complaints about life and health insurance coverage. Our complaints unit investigates complaints filed by consumers and healthcare providers relating to all the life and health insurance coverages that we just mentioned previously. To provide some scope for activities, in fiscal year 2021, the complaints unit concluded 2,824 complaints, and we recovered almost $3 million for consumers and providers. Two of our other primary duties relate to certification of private review agents and medical directors. Now, private review agents, they are the entities that make determinations under health insurance policies as to whether a proposed or delivered healthcare service is medically necessary and appropriate, and therefore eligible for coverage under the insurance policy. So if an insurance company is making these medical necessity determinations on its own, or whether it's delegating this duty to a third party, whichever entity makes that decision must submit an application to the MIA and be awarded a certification as a private review agent before they can perform any type of utilization review of healthcare services. Similarly, in addition to the PRA requirement, every HMO licensed in Maryland is also required to have its medical director certified by the MIA. A medical director is a physician who oversees the HMO's utilization management process, and this includes the oversight of any determinations that are made by the HMO's private review agent. So next, I'd like to speak a little bit about the MIA's role in investigating complaints for health benefit plans specifically. As long as the consumer's health coverage is an insured plan that is issued in Maryland, the MIA can review complaints about the insurance coverage for any number of reasons, and this includes claim denials based on medical necessity, denials of all or part of a claim for other reasons, or other possible violations of Maryland insurance law. If we find that the insurance company has acted in violation of Maryland law, we can then order corrective action, including fines and restitution. And I'd like to take a second to particularly highlight complaints related to medical necessity. We have a specialized appeals and grievance unit here that investigates these complaints, and they work very closely with independent review organizations to obtain an external medical opinion about whether a company's medical necessity determination was appropriate. And I just really like to highlight that our appeals and grievance unit typically achieves an annual carrier reversal rate of around 65%. And what this means, when a consumer comes to us because their health plan has said a service is not medically necessary, just by coming to us, approximately 65% of the time, the insurance company will reverse itself and pay the claim. And this doesn't even necessarily mean we found a violation of law and issued an order to require them to. Sometimes we don't even have jurisdiction, but just by coming to us and getting us involved, we have a very high success rate here. And in fact, so far this year, we're actually at 69%. And we just think that's very important to highlight because a lot of consumers may not know about us, and when they get a denial from their insurance company, they might just think that's it and not realize they have options. So it really always pays to reach out to us in these situations. We can move on to the next slide. So finally, I'm going to close by providing some clarification on the types of health complaints that the MIA cannot handle because we lack jurisdiction. So we cannot handle complaints about health benefit plans that were issued in another state. And this may be situations where it's a large employer with the main office in another state and the group policy is issued there. And then they either have satellite offices in Maryland or perhaps just some employees who live in Maryland. So we have a Maryland resident covered under the plan, but because the policy was issued in a different state, it's actually the other state that has jurisdiction. We also can't handle complaints for federal and other governmental programs, including Medicare, Medicaid, and the Federal Employees Health Benefits Program. And I would say generally in that case, there's very limited situation where certain complaints under Medicaid we can handle, but in general, we can't handle those complaints. Finally, we have no authority over employee health benefit plans that are self-funded by an employer. And this is even if an insurer is used to administer the claims. And this can often be confusing to consumers because their insurance card may have the name of an insurance company on it, but it's only because that insurance company is administering the claims when the plan itself is just being funded by the employer. And if there's ever a question the consumer has, we can help them decipher that and determine whether or not this is a plan that is insured or if it's a self-funded plan. And in those situations where we don't have jurisdiction, we certainly make sure to refer the complainant to any other regulatory agency that does have the authority to help them. And we can provide the consumer with any contact information for that agency that we have. And I think at this point, we'll be moving on to the property and casualty division.
Thanks, David. Robert Barron is our Associate Commissioner for Property and Casualty, and we'll talk about his unit.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Kathleen. Robert Barron, as Kathleen mentioned, I'm the Associate Commissioner for the Property and Casualty Division. And I've been in that role for the last 5 years, 21 years history here at the MIA. Thank you for your participation today. We're always looking for ways to reach out to folks and deliver the message that the MIA has, as Kathleen noted, a world of resources available to help people out with their insurance questions, issues, and concerns. My division is organized kind of similarly to the Life and Health Division, except that we deal with strictly with property and casualty products. So the division is comprised of both a rate and form review section and a consumer complaint section. And in the P&C division, we oversee a very wide array of property and casualty subject matters. So kind of everybody's familiar with their automobile and homeowners insurance. If you own a home, you may be familiar with your title insurance. But there is a wide range of casualty, surety, mortgage guarantee, credit insurance that all fall under the property and casualty umbrella. As with the life and health side of things, we also review in our rates and forms unit the policy forms, endorsements, rates, rating plans, rating rules, any changes that insurers make to those items. Our property and casualty rates and forms team is comprised of a director and a supervisor and 10 analysts and 2 actuaries. And to give you an idea of the size of the job that they perform every year, in a typical year, among the thousands of rate form and rule filings that we review, it's the equivalent of about, say, 500,000 pages of material, both the forms themselves and the supporting documents for those rates and rules that insurers have to file. And so we look to make sure that all of those things are done in full compliance with the insurance article and associated regulations. And all policy forms do require the commissioner's approval before they can be sold in the state of Maryland. Next slide. Thank you. Our overarching authority requires that all rates, rating plans, and rating rules used in Maryland may not result in rates that are excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory. And that's the 3-pronged test that we apply to all rate and rule filings. There are some lines of business that require prior approval of rates, but the typical automobile homeowners rates that most constituents are familiar with and generally unhappy with how much they pay for their coverage. Those rates are not prior approval. They're submitted under what's called file and use, and an insurer can implement those rates without the prior approval of the commissioner. But we are here to assure you that every single rate filing is thoroughly reviewed by our rates and forms team to ensure that, again, rates are not excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory. On the consumer complaint side, again, we look at a tremendously wide variety of subject matters. One of the things about my position that I love the most is that despite the fact that I've been with the MIA for 21 years, literally not a week goes by that something new doesn't come up, where there's something new to learn, something new to figure out. And that's due to the broad range of property and casualty subject matter that we're responsible for. On the complaint side, we get complaints that can be related to premium, like we talked about, how much premium is paid, or how much premium am I being billed for. We get complaints about claim-related matters, either denials of claims or situations where a partial payment's been made and part of the claim has been denied. We have a team of dedicated complaint investigators. We have 3 complaints teams, 14 investigators on those teams. Each team has a supervisor, and we have a director of consumer complaints. And all of these individuals are dedicated to doing a deep dive whenever necessary into whatever the subject matter of the complaint is. One of our 3 teams on the complaint side is what we call our auto protest unit. And the auto protest team strictly reviews consumer complaints that come from people who've had their automobile policy, either they've received a notice of non-renewal or they've received a notice of a premium increase, and it's due to something related to their driving history. So typically a motor vehicle accident or a ticket or a claim. And our unit is successful at overturning those actions by insurers in roughly 18% of the cases year in and year out. Next slide. Thank you. So in fiscal year 2021, so a little bit of an update over the numbers that Kathleen provided for the entire agency from 2020. But in the P&C division in fiscal year 2021, we closed not quite 4,600 complaints and recovered about $3.6 million for consumers. Those complaint recoveries include things like premium refunds or premium reductions. They include claim payments, so where an insurer has perhaps inappropriately denied a claim and we've required them to pay, or they have not paid everything that they should have paid on a claim and we require them to pay more. Our complaint volume can vary substantially from year to year. 4,569 complaints were closed in fiscal year 2021, but we have had years where because of specific conditions in the market, our complaint volume is double, even triple that in a given year. So we're always ready to, we're always agile and ready to adapt to whatever the market sends our way. One other item that I want to kind of close with so that you can understand this for your constituents is also about the rates and forms side of things. So many people believe that the insurance administration is responsible for actually setting the rates that consumers or businesses pay. And that's not actually true. The market plays the largest role in setting rates. While we do review every single rate filing for that 3-pronged test to make sure that rates are not excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory, competition in the market largely determines the price that people pay. And so we just want you to understand that our purview extends to enforcing the law, but we are not the, when somebody gets a rate increase, it's not because the insurance administration said, you, Mr. or Mrs. Policyholder, are going to pay more this year. Those increases are filed by the insurance companies, and as long as they are neither inadequate, excessive, or unfairly discriminatory, we are going to approve them. With that, I'll turn it back to Commissioner Rain.
Thank you, Robert, very much. I appreciate that. And let me hand it over to Joy, who can talk about the really incredible work of our Consumer Education and Advocacy Unit.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I'm Joy Hatchett, the Associate Commissioner for the Consumer Education and Advocacy Unit. And I hope that we have interacted with all of you at some point in the past. Our unit is basically the boots on the ground. We are responsible for trying to assist your constituents better understand their policies, what their rights are under those particular policies, and to learn what their obligations are under those policies. And we do that in several ways. The primary way that we work with consumers is, you may have seen us out at fairs, trade shows, libraries, and many other events. And one of the things that even through COVID, the commissioner has tried to make sure that we're available either in person or virtually to assist and be on the front lines, so that when people have questions or issues, they know that the MIA is there to assist them. And a part of doing that is not only going to set locations, but if you ever have an event that you would like us to participate in, like you're having a town hall, or you just want to provide some education to your constituents, just reach out and we are more than happy to do that. I mean, and at those events, what we try to do is answer one-on-one questions that your constituents have. And then one of the tools that we use to help to answer those questions are all of our brochures, pamphlets that explain insurance. And we all know that insurance is sometimes relatively difficult. And so you need to basically have educational materials that are easy to understand and break things down so that the average consumer can understand those. So at our public outreach events, we have materials, but also sometimes consumers just want a place to go to find information. They can find all of that information on our website. And our website is really divided up into various categories. We have a category about automobile, a category about homeowners, health, life. Basically, if it's an insurance product, I'd like to think that there is some tool on our website that answers your questions. And then we also realize that sometimes consumers are able to have different ways of understanding. So not everyone is going to want to read a long brochure or even a short brochure. Some consumers like visuals. So we have lots of different videos, some very short, and then some longer educational pieces. And then finally, we have a great presence on social media. We use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also on Nextdoor. So you can, and I like to try to tell folks, if you don't want the whole sandwich, you can get a nugget. And that'll help you understand bits and pieces. And so if you're trying to point your constituent to some way to better understand their insurance, point them to our website. Because if we're doing the most for our constituents, we want to help them up front so that they can make an informed purchasing decision, so that they actually have the policy that fits their needs. So when they have that claim, they know that their policy will actually be there to assist them. Next slide, please. So the other big thing that sort of works along with Robert's property and casualty unit, his property and casualty unit is a formal unit that goes through and really investigates thoroughly the way the insurance companies are doing business. But within my unit, we have something called a rapid response program. And that the purpose of that program is to, with claims, try to help the consumer get their claims resolved quickly without having to go through that formal complaint process. Now, this is only on the property and casualty side, but when it comes to an auto claim or a homeowner's claim, or even some business claims, we will step in, get in touch with the consumer, and first of all, try to explain to them what their rights are so that they understand what the process is. Then we'll also reach out to the insurance company, because sometimes it's just a matter of the two aren't communicating. And if we can assist that communication, that sometimes will resolve an issue that's at an impasse. And so our rapid response program, I'm happy to say during fiscal year 2021, we handled 1,250 complaints, and we were able to recover over $3 million for consumers. So we've got a team of folks that work really hard, but please believe me, if it's something that can't get resolved through the rapid response program, then it will go through the formal complaint process. Next slide, please. And this is probably one of the most important things. Now, everything that we do is important, but one of the most important things for our agency as a whole is our ability to assist consumers in the event of a disaster, like our recent tornadoes in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, the recent flooding and wind issues in Baltimore City. And for a lot of you, that is probably how you know us, that after an event, we are there. We could be there. We have been there within 24 hours to assist on site. We now have the capability of assisting virtually when necessary, and we can assist to try to help consumers understand the process, because it's a frightening thing for a consumer. All of a sudden, they don't have a roof, or their siding is off, or they find themselves displaced and they don't know what that next step should be. We are the boots on the ground to try to help them understand what their options are. I mean, one of the things that we have seen and the commissioner takes very seriously is sometimes right after these events, even in something like a fire, we have, I hate to say it, predators that basically come out and try to take advantage of these consumers. And so what we like to do is just to explain to the consumer, these are your options. And if you have questions, you can come to us for assistance. So the primary thing that I really want to stress about our particular, the CEAU unit, is if you have a constituent with an issue or a question, we, just like the rest of the agency, are here to help you. But also, if you have a need to have someone come out to a town hall or an event that you might be having, we're happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joy. As I said before, the Maryland Insurance Administration, it consists of a group of really highly dedicated, very seasoned, very experienced folks who really see themselves as performing services for your constituents. Anytime you have questions, anytime your constituents have questions, just reach out. The other thing that we do also is you can always reach out to Mike Patty, who is our Director of Government Affairs. If you have questions yourself as legislators about, or other people in state or local or federal government about what are the laws in the state of Maryland, and what are the questions that are coming up. So we serve as a resource to all of our policymakers as well as their constituents. And now one of the things I'd like to share with you was really something that was initiated by my predecessor in office, Al Redmer, and that we've had the pleasure of continuing and expanding since I've been here. So Craig who is our Director of Communications, is going to talk about the Maryland Insurance Administration and our workforce initiative.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yes, this is a very exciting program, and it's the Maryland Insurance Administration Education and Workforce Initiative is targeting really three key issues. You can go to the next slide, Victoria. Facilitating pathways to link talent of all levels with the insurance industry. This is an industry that's facing really a talent shortage, and it offers stable and well-paid jobs. And I know that all industries are facing a talent shortage right now, but the insurance industry, even before the current shortage, was already facing a shortage of talent because of various things. Another big part is promoting inclusion and diversity in Maryland's insurance industry. It's really important to get folks involved from all different walks of life, from all races and genders in the insurance industry. And then helping position Maryland as a hub of technology innovation in the insurance industry. We have great infrastructure here in Maryland, great higher education resources, and we can really become a major hub of technology innovation. Next slide. So the plan is facilitating development of insurance specialization degree programs at four-year colleges and universities in Maryland. We'll talk about that again in a minute, but also facilitating the development of insurance curriculum tracks to existing degree programs at business schools, at four-year colleges and universities and community colleges. And facilitating insurance career awareness at high schools and colleges across Maryland, and assisting efforts to create certificate programs or other kinds of training programs. Next slide. We really want to educate everyone in Maryland about the growing workforce needs of insurance employers, including careers that aren't usually associated with the insurance industry. And facilitating post-education employment, including the development of Maryland-based insurtech companies. Next slide. So how this began. So in 2018 and 2019, then Commissioner Al Redmer Jr. worked with the University of Baltimore President Kurt Schmoke to create a risk management and insurance specialization path for students pursuing a Bachelor of Science degree in business administration at the Merrick School of Business at UB. MIA continues to serve on the advisory board for the program and is committed to its success. And it really has been a success for UB and also for the insurance industry in Maryland. Next slide. So the Maryland Insurance Administration is currently working at various degrees of involvement with the Community College of Baltimore County, the Hartford Community College, Howard Community College, Montgomery College, and Warwick Community College on the Eastern Shore. And others. We're reaching out to many other community colleges all the time. The goal is to create more insurance career pathways at community colleges through certificate or associate degree programs, or as a bridge to the four-year degree programs. Next slide. So this is really interesting. The MIA serves as a connector to help link high schools with Invest, an organization affiliated with the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers of America. The Big I is what it's known as. Invest offers textbooks, lesson plans and presentations and videos and quizzes and all these kind of things that support classroom learning in high schools about the insurance industry. So high school students chosen for the program the organization brought an innovative apprenticeship program to Maryland in 2020. Under this program, high school students chosen for the program work at insurance companies and agencies to gain valuable experience in the industry. It's an excellent kind of internship, kind of a program where folks can get really hands-on experience. The MIA has a student outreach plan with particular focus on minorities. Our consumer education and advocacy unit and our human resources department have worked on career events at Morgan State University and other institutions. In December of 2020, we participated with Hartford Community College on a day-long series of workshops introducing the insurance industry and associated careers. We're seeking similar opportunities in 2021 and beyond. If you know any opportunities like that, please let us know. Next slide. So the MIA is identifying institutional partners for the development of insurance career programs or curriculum tracks focused on innovation and technology. Careers involving data science, computer science, and actuarial science are growing very rapidly. Insurance companies are investing heavily in these kinds of new technologies, creating incredible opportunity for tech pros across all industries. The MIA is working with industry to establish the blueprint for the development of a robust Maryland-based insurtech industry. And this includes establishing business incubators and startup accelerators, and we're expanding current programs to include that sector. Next slide. And that wraps up our overview of the Education and Workforce Initiative. Back to you, Kathleen.
Thanks, Craig. I mean, this is something we're really excited about. Al really did a lot of the groundwork on this. And then what we've been able to do is expand it into different educational levels and begin to also add some additional swim lanes, if you will, focusing more on technology and more on some of the data sciences that really give people such tremendous career opportunities. So more on that to come. We're still at fairly early stages, but we're really excited to try to develop more career paths for Marylanders in the insurance business, which is an extremely lucrative field. So I hope that you've had the opportunity to learn a little bit about the Maryland Insurance Administration, who we are, what we do, and how we are available to help you help your constituents. So as a matter of wrap up, do we have some time, I think, Craig? If anybody has any questions?
We do. Do we have some? Yes, if anybody has a question, they can ask it in the chat and we can pull them over to ask.
Yeah, really happy if you happen to have anything. But otherwise, if folks don't, you know where to get us, you know how to get us. And as Joy said, you know, we sort of, we like coming out and making presentations. We're always available to talk at a town hall meeting or to set up something special here. And in this virtual world that we've all learned to live in, we do have lots of webinars and lots of virtual meetings. And, you know, so we're always happy to do something virtually as well. And we are happy to make the presentation available. We can send it to everyone who was an attendee today. And is it available on our website as well, Craig?
It can be, yes. We are recording right now, so yes, absolutely. We can send it out to everyone on the call.
That's great. And we can certainly send out the slide deck.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I don't see any other questions. We did answer the one about sending a copy, and thank you, Melinda, for your comment. And if there is nothing else, I think we'll call this a wrap.